You're probably the same way as a teacher, just slipping in the room just in time, right?
7 o'clock, we're on.
All right, we're going to call tonight's meeting to order. And welcome board and welcome members of the public. Appreciate you being here this evening. As is our custom and practice, I'd like to open in a word of prayer. And this time I'd ask John if you would open us in prayer.
You bet. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Would you please bow your heads? Our dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this terrific honor where we're able to represent Georgetown Township. We pray for your wisdom and your guidance. We also pray, Lord, for our leaders throughout the world with the turmoil that's going on overseas. Please be with them, and we pray for peace. Dear Lord, thank you for the good people here at Georgetown Township and what a wonderful job they do for us daily. And then those that are willing to, the first responders, to risk their lives for us. Thank you, Lord. Please protect them. Again, be with us tonight and guide everyone home safely. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, John. You all stand for the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
Of the United
States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under
under
God,
indivisible, with liberty.
and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Again, welcome to everyone here tonight. Kelly is our clerk, and I guess it looks like we have a quorum.
We do. All are present except Trustee Kelly is absent with notice.
All right. The notice, I think, as a couple of you mentioned, is his birthday. So he's gotten out of Dodge for his, 39th, or what is it?
Yes, 39.
Yeah. It's uncanny. I mean, he's turning 60 today. Rob is turning 60 in June, I think, sometime, and then I hit it in August. Andrew Brand, always true. Rob's a twin. Okay. All right. All right. Sometime you gotta have him sit in. We'd like to see him. We'd like to see who's better looking, huh? Huh? All right. Item number 5 is approval of tonight's agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Support.
All right, move and
But
support.
I'd also like to add something to the agenda. Be under 19, which would be A. 19B would, the motion would be to accept officially the resignation of our township manager. And 19C would be the motion to appoint Justin Stodd as the interim manager.
Okay.
Support.
By supporting here, you're not supporting the substance of what's being offered, but rather the amendment of the
Correct.
Agenda.
Addition to the agenda.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Any comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, items 19B and C are added. Any other changes to tonight's agenda? Okay, with those amendments, can we have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So move.
Support.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And is passed. Item number 6 then, communication letters and reports which have been received for board members' information. And item 7. Item 7 is public comment on action items remaining this evening. So anyone who's come tonight from the public who'd like to address the board on any of the items that remain, you're welcome to do so at this time, including the 2 that were just added, although you may not know much about that. So, does anyone wish to address the board? Yes.
And 13. Just a couple items on the agenda, 17, 18, and 19. 17 is the requirements. Now you're going to move them up from 10 to 20,000. Not such a big deal, but as you know, bids are done for 2 primary reasons. One, to keep the costs down and to look at the taxpayers' money, which is great. And the other thing is to limit the amount of maybe, not that it happens, special interests that might happen on the back end, whatever those might be. I'm thinking moving it to 20, I understand why you're doing it because inflation and everything, but you could maybe keep it at 10 to actually keep a firmer hold on our dollars and to get the best value for our money. The other thing is on 18, which is the personnel policies and procedures. There's a couple agenda items in those policies. One is the computer usage. In there, it reads that files can be deleted without notice at any time. Me, as a taxpayer and resident, I'd be concerned about FOIA requirements for that. I hope those don't play into that. The other thing is that the grievance procedure that's outlined in those changes, I would think there would be some kind of wording in there that if there's a grievance against our superintendent, assistant, or something like that outside or inside the personnel director area, that an employee could go to a board member of their choosing, especially if it's a harassment or something like that in the early stages of that process. And the other one is 19, which is the Kennewa water main. Jim, since you live on 18 acres on Kennewa, you might want to not vote on that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, hearing none, we'll close that initial public comment period. Next up on the agenda is item 8, our consent agenda. Things like approval of bills, et cetera, and minutes. Is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, any comments? Issues? Okay. Hearing nothing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Is carried. Number 9, appointment of John Schwalm to the Grand Valley Metropolitan Council. We have historically had a member on that council, and John's been willing now in this case to be appointed. I think by virtue of our size now too, we're given this seat. So is there a motion to appoint John to that position?
I'll make a motion to appoint John to the Metro Council.
Support.
Supported. We did check with John and make sure you're willing, and sure you're willing to do so.
Be honored.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, appreciate
Thank
that. Anybody have any comments?
What's the normal process for considering appointments to external boards? Just take a guess at who's willing to serve, or?
Yeah, well, sometimes, for example, if it were, I don't know, Ottawa County Road Commission, you'd have to go through the process of being selected. You can get through that selection process. Usually we're happy to appoint, but we don't have, to answer your question, we don't have anything in the way of a policy more detailed than that. If someone can be chosen in a spot, which we think could be key to us, thank them and move them, but open to suggestions.
No, I just, you really have to be paying attention to the minutes and what's coming up to have known that there was a vacancy where we were allowed to appoint somebody, right? So I'm not doubting that John's a great fit for that. I think he clearly has a passion for the mission of improving local government. But it does feel a bit like, could others have been interested in the position? And, in the future, how are others to know about those vacancies to express that they are interested in representing our township in a further capacity?
I guess we could have sent an email to the board generally from the management. The way we would have found out, I guess, soonest would have been when it came up on the agenda for the Finance Committee here recently, and so there would have been an opportunity to speak at that point, but that doesn't give you a long time to consider either, so understood. That's a good point. I mean, it doesn't happen often, but we don't want to be presumptuous either about people's level of interest. So to our potential interim manager, and going forward, if there were opportunities like that, maybe someone steps down from the road commission or some other matter arises, without deliberating among ourselves, of course, but being informed through the township, gives people a chance to throw their hat in and say, I'm interested.
I think that would be nice moving forward. That's just my 2 cents on it.
Maybe Kelly would be interested in substituting if John couldn't make a meeting. Do we have an alternate?
Yeah, I'm not sure you find out the protocol about whether they even permit alternates or want that or not at all.
I don't know.
It'd be a good problem to have, because in the past we've had to we've had to work on people. Would you be willing to step into this role, you know?
This has not been a high-demand position from what I was told.
Yeah.
But
It's been a take-your-turn position, but
to not have a voice there, I think, hurts us. So I think there's been a void where it's not been attended for quite a while. And so the hope was that generally the comment is made is if you participate, there's more of a chance that your township is going to get monies. If you're not there, which has been the case in the past, you're often overlooked. So I was asked if I'd be willing to do that. I believe the meetings are often early in the morning, which makes it difficult for most.
John hadn't taken his turn yet because you were always working during those hours. So, yeah. But good point. And any other comments before we vote on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor of appointing John, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anyone opposed? All right, it passes. Number, back up here a second.
Consider
Ahead of myself. Number 10, streetlight at Van Buren Street,
do 8.
14th Avenue. Again,
We missed,
streetlight.
we missed number 8.
Did we?
Well, it's part of the consent agenda.
As
Oh,
part of the consent agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. Just
Unless
wanna
we
make sure.
wanted to pull it off.
Okay.
but-
All right.
yeah. Always know that on consent agenda items, if you want to pull it off as a board member, you can.
Okay.
Item 10, streetlight at Van Buren Street and 14th. Again, streetlight as opposed to, don't think stoplight, right? Okay, streetlight. Is there a motion to approve the resolution to install a streetlight at that curve?
So move.
Support. Okay, moved and supported. I know my dad and mom lived not far from there for a number of years. That's a sharp corner. It's also a dark corner.
There have been many accidents there. Speed limit's 55 as you come up on that. And local residents had requested that a light be installed for safety reasons.
I think it's important that we keep our residents safe and install a light there. Definitely.
Just for my benefit, utilities or anyone else, I know sometimes we'll be asked about things that are related to traffic safety and the like, and sometimes the answer is, listen, you've got to go to the Ottawa County Road Commission. That's it's a county decision and so on. Street lights fall to our purview. Is that fair to say, right? Okay. So we can just do this. Good. All right, any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Well, it's a resolution, actually. Yeah, why don't we have a voice vote on that, please? Roll call.
Schwalm?
Yes.
Kuiper is yes. Beldink?
Yes.
Grassman?
Yes.
Waringa?
Yes.
Dewitt?
yes.
All in favor. Motion passes.
Okay. Item 11, dust control bid. Is there a motion to accept the bid from SWB Dust and Ice Control?
So move.
Support.
Supported? One, for the benefit of the public and board, want to explain why we have dust control bids. Gary?
We still have a few gravel roads in Georgetown Township.
Two, I think, right? Is that right?
Yeah, 12th Avenue. We do some at Jackson Avenue too, I believe. So we're slowly getting,
Big Old Street still,
pardon?
Big Old Street's still gravel too, isn't it?
Yep.
I
Yeah.
consider that, so.
That's on the list.
So,
Care to explain how the bids could be like 4 times different?
yeah, I don't know. Maybe some use or use motor oil. I don't know what they got going there.
Okay. Anyone? Nope, needs to be done. All right. Apologies if you made the motion already, is that right?
Yeah.
On the floor, okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Item 12, lawn trimming at the cemetery. Might be a little bit like dust control in that people aren't beating down our door to submit bids. But important to keep up on that. Ever since we lost the perpetual care we had through the jails several years ago, it's been a challenge. So
Will that ever come back?
doesn't appear likely.
That's too bad.
Um,
They did a great job.
Yeah, well, it's probably good all the way around. But is there a motion to contract with Priest Lawn Care as recommended by Finance Committee?
So move.
And support? Okay, moved and supported. know there was a bid to help us 7 times, and I think the other was maybe as many as 12, something like
15.
that. And, Rod does a great job out there with the staff that we have as much as they can to keep down, I guess you might say, the number of times we need the service. But boy, if there's one thing those of you who've been on the board know, and those who are on the board will find out, is that you get called about, is if your loved one's grave is not looking good, you'll hear about that. So it is important to people.
Rod Deemter went into detail how physically difficult it is to trim around gravestones and how difficult it is to get someone to bid on it, time consuming, and how you wouldn't think it would be physically tough on you, but he explained to us why and how. And I think they had someone they hired that made it through an afternoon, and then he quit made it through a morning, and then he quit in the afternoon. It's very, very difficult. Whereas when they had the gentlemen for the convicts, they were, it was a chance for them to get out, and he said they did pretty good work, but that's not available anymore.
Yeah. Any comments besides? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, Jenison Public Schools pole barn rental request there by Maplewood Park. I know we have a representative from the school system here tonight. Is there a motion to approve this proposed 1-year lease agreement for this pole barn?
I will make a motion to approve the 1-year lease agreement for the pole barn.
Is there a second?
Support.
Second. If for those not on finance, you saw the same letter we discussed. It's a pretty good quid pro quo. Of course, we have a good relationship with the school, and we look for ways to support and help one another. We don't use that building a whole lot, and it's not in great shape. Frankly, on the back side of this, besides getting some money for it, we will have better conditioned approach to it, and I think building itself. So some of this involves some improvement or repair, correct? Yeah.
And we'll have a continued relationship once the new facility is built, because we store our senior center vans there nightly, because they have a secure setting. So it's a mutual beneficial situation, and we're glad to help.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Good.
Our vans are stored, on their lot, on their bus. Yep.
Yes.
Would their representative like to say a few words?
You have our support, but you're welcome to also, if you want to say anything at all, if you'd approach the mic. You don't have to. Entirely up to you.
When you go home to your wife, you can say that you had a chance to speak for a little while.
All right, we've got 2 representatives.
We appreciate the partnership with the township. It gives us an opportunity to start to carry out some of our bond facilities around the district and continue to improve the area. So having this, Kip from Transportation has a better temporary home for a year, knowing that the facilities would be demolished and then rebuilt and better serve the community. So thank you. We appreciate that opportunity. Thank you.
That's an exciting project for you guys too.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Great.
Okay. Thank you both. As we like to say, you don't have to, you're welcome to go if you like or stay. It's entirely up to you. Okay, there's a motion before you. Any other comments? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Item 14, DPW truck purchase. This came to us from Utilities. Is there a motion to approve the purchase of this 2025 GMC Sierra?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Justin, address, if you would, the township deal, if you will, that we're afforded on vehicles that maybe the general public is not. Not that any number these days looks like a deal.
For 2 years, Ben Baker ideal, and this truck is on the lot, ready to go. My deal is 20 weeks out with an asterisk, pending tariffs and availability. question mark.
And address, either Justin or someone on utilities, just make clear the need for this truck.
What year? 2015, 130,000, 140,000 miles, so it's time.
Can be used as a trade-in or sell outright, bid or
Uh,
old one?
Public auction again, right? Yeah.
Anything else from the board? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes. Item 15, 2025 zoning fee schedule. Is there a motion to recommend that the board approve the adjusted fee schedule?
So move.
Support.
Supported. Comments? Questions? I can say that this is kind of along the theme of what we've been seeing a lot of over the past year or so, which is just adjusting rates on various things that are meant to fit the present reality. That is, rates that haven't moved, haven't been tied to, cost of living or CPI, and they fall behind, right? And we start to realize, look, we're not adequately charging. Even when we do adequately charge, we're still below the average around us, but still we can't charge and go backward. And we do go backward when we don't change from time to time and update. So I thought they were modest and reasonable changes.
Yes.
When do
Can
these,
we specify on our fee structure what the required escrow is per application? I don't see it anywhere. Usually the application fees are nominal at best. It's the escrow fees that usually are a larger chunk. I didn't know if we had like a set escrow fee to start with on some of our applications that typically required an escrow. Okay.
Not on the schedule, so I'll.
Not.
Yes.
And I do think it would be nice to add, a lot of people log online to be able to write a check for an application or kind of get prepared for the fees that they would need to owe. I think that would also be, for transparency's sake, something to put on this schedule so people understood what the escrow requirement would be.
Great. I'll talk to Jill and Ryan tomorrow. It's good.
when will these go in effect?
What's that?
When will these go in effect, these new fees?
These are going to affect, if approved now, tomorrow. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other comments? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is carried. Item number 16, a policy change here for rules and conduct of public meetings. Is there a motion to approve the proposed revisions that you've each been presented?
So move.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. John, do you want to address that in any way, or no, it came through finance?
We thought that it would, we should be clear, more precise. As far as specifics,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
prior to 2020, the policy for board packets, finance packets, was 3 days prior to a board meeting. And then it was changed to 7 and 6 days. That does cause some operational difficulties when we have things sort of piling up on top of one another. So this is a request to move it to 4 days, so Thursday prior, which we believe will give plenty of time for notice and for board members and the public, and give us a couple more days to get those packets out appropriately.
Did mention on finance when this came up, it's a little bit of a trade-off. As a board member, you want to be able to see things perhaps that need to move more readily, be able to do so if that's important. For example, if there was something decided at a planning commission on Wednesday night, about be able to make an agenda by the following Monday. But it does mean doing your work in a more compressed period of time, and therefore, when you see that right now, I don't know about the rest of you, you might see the agenda come through on a Monday and think, well, I'll look at it tomorrow, right? When you get it on a Thursday, we all have to be dedicated to the fact that we we have 2 business days. Well, you might say 2.5 if you want to count Monday, Friday, and whatever time on
Correct.
Thursday we receive it. Then you've got the weekend as well. So just to be studied up, it leaves you a little less time, more than we were accustomed to having for years and years. I know that for the, majority of the years I've been on this board, it was 3 days.
Yep.
I liked the enlarged period, but I know that the office, it was tough. It was tough. So I think it's a good compromise.
Rob, can you give some specifics on why there was a problem? I think sometimes there'd be things that would be submitted after that date, and then it couldn't go on the agenda.
Correct. So, understand, for example, a finance committee meeting that happens on a Monday, if we want to get it's just a matter of sometimes we don't have bids on time.
Right.
By the board packet, other information. So instead of adjusting those agendas continuously, having all the information at once. The standard generally is a Friday before, for at least my experience, whether school districts or municipalities, it's the Friday before. It just races things, we would say unnecessarily, and I would argue a Thursday prior for public is plenty, when most are on a Friday. So we don't intend to purposely stall that. If we can get it out sooner, we'll get it out sooner, but it is often a mad rush on a Friday before, on the Monday, to get those out. And we don't see the value to that. We think the Thursday prior is a good compromise. So.
Yeah, I like the compromise just because I don't like agendas out on Friday. It's one thing if you want to set them out on Friday and just dealing with policy. We deal with more than just policy. We deal with physical inspections sometimes where you got to get out and look at things. And especially like on planning commission, I know that. But even this, it's the ability. So if you get it on a Friday and you got something going Friday night and Saturday, you just, your life goes on besides around. I know you're surprised by this, but my life goes around more than just this board. Sorry, Jim. But
I know you're on planning commission too.
yeah, but I like the ability to have, if it's on Thursday and I want to, check something on Thursday night or Friday, that'd be better. I wouldn't want to go any shorter than that.
I agree. It's a fair compromise, and I think that nobody has mentioned it yet, that, our township board agendas are primarily comprised of items that have already come through other committees. And there is a way, in order to stay on top of things, if you will, you can get push notifications via email of the agendas and minutes of all the other committees. So I think it's a good compromise to assist the township staff. And I do think that we have a lot of options in place to help keep people up to speed on what's coming up. So.
Yep, good compromise.
Any other comments? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 18, do I have that right?
17.
No, 17. Proposed change to policy for bid and quotation requirements. This is for purchasing here, in-house here, 10,000 to 20,000 would be the suggestion. Is there a motion to make that revision? Or is there a motion? I didn't hear the motion.
The motion is to go from 10,000
Okay.
to
All right.
20,000.
So move, support.
All right, very good. It's on the floor. Comments, questions? We certainly have had discussion about this at times, really. I'm in the offices a lot, and I'll talk to Rob, but sometimes Justin or prior manager. It's been a point of discussion a number of times over the years is, should that be, again, kind of like the earlier fees, pegged in some way to present reality, present inflationary time, and different perspectives can be respected on that. I think it's somewhat of a number that isn't a science as much as an art. You say that seems about right, for what you run into. I think, Rob, you recommended, you think that's not going too far, but far enough to make it a little easier to exercise authority on smaller matters.
Correct.
Yeah.
The last change to that was in 2015. So it operationally needs to go up for practical terms. In 2015, it went from 5 to 10, so it was proposed, let's go 10 to 20. And just a reminder, remember, every single bill invoice is published online that is paid out every 2 weeks. So everything is out there. So it's just a matter of operational efficiency for this.
Was there a reason why we didn't go from 10 to 15 versus 10 to 20?
Just because mostly inflation, which many would argue is undervalued. The CPI is not accurate. And it's a clean number. So it seemed reasonable. I can tell you in the public school world, it's probably 33,000, 34,000. So just to give you some comparison or perspective.
Say that again?
In the public school world, generally, I think the state max is about probably in the 30s now, and that is adjusted every year by statute. So this is much lower than similar entities. And again, everything is published. Every bill is displayed. So.
Comments? Okay, hearing none. Is there a vote here? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Okay, item number 18. Changes to Employee Benefits Manual and Employee Personnel Policies and Procedures. This came out of Finance. Is there a motion to approve these revisions?
I will make a motion to approve the revisions.
Support. Moved and supported. I know that we employed our legal counsel, something I think we do judiciously, somewhat sparingly compared to a lot of townships. This is something that you want input on, and I think with some of the changes in law, especially most recently with the new Sick Pay Act and so on, we really needed to look at our policy and benefit manuals and to have it looked at by someone who's an expert. And I believe they've really done a good job here of not just adapting to new laws, but also cleaning up some of our old policies. So comments about that from board members? I'll tell you what, one of the things that was mentioned is about deletion of emails in FOIA. Any thoughts about that, Rob or Justin? I don't expect, of course, our legal counsel would put us in jeopardy of violating FOIA by implementing a policy that would allow for. Yeah.
Not us.
Yeah.
So.
But again, I mean,
Yes.
the interpretation, I suppose, would be a legal one on that score.
Yes.
Something that I'd be surprised if you circle back with them to say, you know what, finalize those changes, just to be sure. Someone made a point about FOIA. We just want to be sure, assurance that this in no way interferes with our legal requirements under that act.
Understood.
I have a question. Part of the thing that got added was the sick time, which is just now been mandated by the state. How are we applying that to on-call fire personnel? There's been a ton of discussion on that MTA.
It applies, and we are tracking that for those employees.
Okay.
Yes, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if you read the MTA
Yes.
forum and all, but it is a mess. It is a mess. So
Yep.
I didn't know how we were handling it because it seems like there's like 2-3 different opinions on it too.
Yes. Well, we're taking the conservative route.
Yeah.
If something changes, so be it, but we are tracking that.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I don't think anybody, even talking to the fire chief that went to the chief's meeting, and even here in Ottawa County, it's separate by a lot. Everybody's doing it differently. And I think the route we're taking now, the way we got it written, is the best way to probably do it. So we're on top of it rather than be behind it. So, even some of our close allies are doing it differently than we are. So, but I think we're on the right track.
Another comment for those not on finance. We also confirmed that employees here were involved in the process, were asked about the current policies and procedures, right? And to make sure that their voices were heard since they're the ones who are most directly impacted. So we appreciated their input, and we appreciated you guys seeking that input.
Sure.
Rob, for the people that are here listening, is it possible in just 1 minute explain what this entails as far as attendance and leave time and so forth?
Are you talking in the Sick Time Act?
Yes.
I would not even
That
try.
is-
I would not even try to do that, John.
Okay.
Ask the Sick Time Act. Essentially, it's mandating minimum paid time or sick leave for part-time employees
Yes.
that employers did not have to do prior. That's the big issue. And again, that includes, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, election workers, which are seasonal. So it's an operational, I'm using that word a lot tonight. It's difficult. So, but that's the big issue is mandating sick time for part-time employees, seasonal employees. That makes it more interesting.
So part-time for seasonal, part-time?
So essentially, all employees, regardless how limited
Right.
employment is.
That covers our safeties and stuff like that then too, right?
Crossing guards.
Crossing guards.
The guards, yeah, whatever that safeties, I guess that's
I know what you
old
meant.
school language. I'm not that old, am I?
Have service squads.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm glad we got these
Does that make
updated.
us employees too?
You want your health insurance? Is that what you look for?
I do get W-2.
All right, hearing nothing further. All in favor of these changes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries. Item 19, the cost-sharing agreement for Kennewa Avenue Water Main Extension. Is there a motion to approve this cost-sharing agreement, City of Wyoming?
I will make a motion to approve it with the City of Wyoming.
Support.
Supported, okay. I did note one typographical error there. If you look in the recitals in A, it refers to the water main construction along Kennewa Avenue north of 56. In fact, it's south of 56th.
Correct.
And for that reason, it's not my area. I've got water. I am north of 56th on Kennewa. Thankfully, I have water. I'd love to have sewer. If we want to vote on that, maybe tonight, can we throw sewer in, Gary, or still going to be on septic?
Yeah. No.
Not do
But
that.
I am unaffected by this, but I am glad for the people that live south of me. So that should be a change in that recital. But other than that, I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
That's always an interesting road because you have Wyoming on one side, of course, you've got Georgetown on the other. If you go far enough down to the south, you've got Granville on the other side. You've got Kent County on one side and Ottawa County on the other. I had a deer one time dead out in front of my property, and I called, I thought I called Georgetown, you know. No, we don't handle that. It's a county road, call the county. So I called the county. Nope, we've got an arrangement with Wyoming, and we don't deal with that. That's kind of a split road, you call Wyoming. Call Wyoming. He said, you know what, this is something at the county level. You really need to call Kent. And I got sent back eventually to Georgetown again. And what I eventually did is I went out there, I dragged that deer across the road, and I called the city of Wyoming. They came and picked it up. So I figured out what to do with that. So it's a strange area. Comments, questions, anybody?
Joel enjoys getting up and explaining these things to us.
Joel, I know you don't love it, Joel, but could you just in a nutshell, I just want to hear, because it goes right to our southeast corner.
Yes.
I mean, this completes all the way to the southeast corner.
Yeah.
Provision of water. Yeah.
This is a section of water main we like to install from Berry 56th Street south to Jackson Street. That would be the first phase. And I actually have another phase scheduled for 2033 from Kennewa over to 4th Avenue, so we have it looped. We've had 7 breaks on this little 3-inch, we'll call it water service / main that feeds 6 homes right now. And since 2018, we have had 7 breaks, like I said. So
Wow.
And the water quality in the area is terrible. It's the hardness levels are 4 times higher where it should be. Iron levels are about the same thing. Sulfate, sodium levels are way high in some of those houses. And hopefully we'll get some more payback with some more connections on our side. So.
Wasn't this originally something from Wyoming and we inherited it, or if I got this?
Yeah. So Wyoming put some water main on Berry Street and then like a 3-inch line down about 1,000 feet down Kennewa in 1980. And then in 1990, we got that along with some 8-inch main on Berry. We took that over when we built that little water meter station there at the corner. So, and this really mirrors what we have had with Wyoming's contract for north of Berry Street.
Yeah.
So, and they're willing to participate. They're willing to put it in their schedule for their budget for 2027.
So breakdowns alone, this is costing you a great deal, and this would serve them and be safer for those people.
Yes. Okay. And we'll gain. Well, of course, water quality issues, repair issues. Now we have fire protection in the area, and we have Wyoming willing to contribute. So.
And it's on their side of the road.
And it's on their side of the road. We have some issues being on our side where there's a sanitary force main from Byron Gaines and some fiber optics. So our easement would have to be way up in these people's front yards. Actually, right next to their doors, actually, if we were trying to put in a water main. So Wyoming is letting us put it on their side of the road, and we'll cross Jackson Street, over to Jackson Street.
Which also means that nice path won't get busted up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, we couldn't do it anyway, so, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Joel.
So,
wonderful.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
All right, board, any other comments on this issue?
I know that the first Utilities Committee meeting that I had with Dan Carlton, this was the first thing he brought up that probably needed to be addressed in the next few years because they were already having water main breaks and trying to figure it out. And so he said, this is something so that was, over 4 years ago.
Well, it's important to the residents that live there, so
Yeah.
we should take care of our residents
So
that live there.
that's where we're at with this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is passed. Item 22nd, public comment period. Anyone tonight who'd like to address the board?
We're at 19.
Oh, my bad. That's right. We added a 19 B
B.
and C, didn't we? Thank
Yep.
you. Item 19B, I guess, Gary, you added that.
So 19B would be a motion to accept officially the resignation of Rob Litchcock, our manager, which he has submitted to us.
Support? Oh, that was, denied him a second. It's been seconded. Yep, it's before the board. Any comments?
Well, I didn't want to make the motion because I was really hoping that Rob would stay on a little longer. I appreciate all the work he's put in the township in his 3 years. I know his contract was up in 3 years. He had a 3-year contract. And I think he's been a great benefit to the township. We've worked through a lot of problems, a lot of things that needed to be taken care of. I think we brought the township, made it a better place for the future. And I just want to say I appreciate you. You've become a good friend. And I'm going to miss you. But we will be going for lunch once in a while yet because Arrows needs our support.
I think we all concur to that.
I read a quote the other day that said, governments run most effectively when professionals run them. And by that, it meant when we have dedicated people like Rob and Justin who have given their careers to this type of service, our job is not to micromanage the day-to-day. Our job is to guide and lead and generally represent the will of the people. Their job is to manage and take care of the day-to-day business of this 55,000 person township. So it's, you've done an incredible job in the role. We really appreciate it. And it is such an incredible role to fill. The work is hard and often it goes without a lot of acknowledgement. So unfortunately, it might be too little too late, all of us. You know how much we all appreciated you, but
I do. Thank you.
yeah, I just wanted to say those words because I thought it was really important for this board and even for the public to hear. A community of our size, we take our jobs very seriously as elected officials, but it truly is the work of you guys day to day that makes this place run. So
Yeah.
just wanted you to know how much you were appreciated.
Yes. Thank you for all that you've done and will continue to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate your support and through this last year, just the election and everything else, and my fellow board members and everything else, just helping through the process and everything. I'm very happy to be here, and I hope you have decent success moving forward. And I really appreciate everything you've done up to this point.
Well, Rob was a very successful businessman, did that incredibly well. Got into education, principal, went right up the chain, and superintendent, did a wonderful job as superintendent, and loved kids, and just very, very dedicated, and did a wonderful, wonderful job here for us at Georgetown Township. Helped us with our insurance program for our employees. We made some dramatic changes through that with our new DPW building. He has been a leader and a very kind heart, and the staff really likes him here. He has a real bond with them. He is very, very professional, but he has a sense of humor. And so it's a relaxed atmosphere around here. And he gave us 3 years, already retired, and but still a young guy. And we sure would love to have him stay another 10, but we were lucky to have the 3 years from him. So it'd be really tough shoes to fill. And very thankful that Justin's willing to be the interim, and he is incredibly competent and is also well liked and loved by our staff. So this is tough for all of us. It was emotional, but we all hit different phases of our life, and we have to make some decisions, and we pulled him out of retirement to do this, and we are incredibly grateful.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to hold my words to the last meeting because you're coming back. You've got one more meeting yet, so one more board meeting, right?
April 14th, yes.
Yeah, that's right. So I'll wait until then. I will say, for the benefit of the public, though, to the extent that news travels fast about something like this, there is nothing in the relationship either between this board and Rob, or Rob and this board, or Rob and anyone at the township, anybody he works with, that has precipitated this change in his life. This is purely a personal decision, and he's got other opportunities in front of him down the road, and we wish him well with that. But in case people love, people love a good rumor or something, there are no rumors to be had here. There's nothing but, as you can hear, goodwill and wishing that we had a longer period of time. But okay, so all in favor of accepting Rob's tender of his resignation, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Yeah. We're home, folks.
Kind of all of them.
I mean, we could have done that. Now I got to buy lunch. You hear him? Now I got to buy lunch. It's okay.
All right, 19C. Again, I'll turn to you, Gary, as the one who added this item.
The motion to appoint Justin Stott as our interim manager for Georgetown Township.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Starting effective April 19th.
Yeah, I didn't know what
day
the
after Rob's
effective- so
departure.
effective 19, I was going to ask it earlier, and I did not know, so.
Yep.
Yep, he's
All right.
here till the 18th.
Yep. I would want to append this. I don't know if it needs to be an amendment to the motion, but I want to make it clear in making this motion that inherent in this whole transition is the need to establish the protocol for choosing a new manager, and we don't have the luxury of waiting to do that. So, I mean, to do that in terms of laying out the protocol. And so I'd like to, and you tell me if you think this ought to be a separate motion, but I want this board to direct the question of that protocol and that search process to finance, which oversees personnel policies, and would meet on a special basis this next Monday because of the need, again, to get the process going. All right?
Correct.
So let's focus, I guess, on your motion right now, which is it's before you that Justin would be appointed as interim manager, which only makes sense, honestly. It doesn't presuppose anything about Justin's perspective or what he wants for the future or what this board is going to do. But who else better to step into that role than somebody who's been working hand in hand with Rob and doing an excellent job, and you know, it's a lot to shoulder, and he's willing to shoulder that. So I would certainly support that.
And just as a comment, I think that automatically it would go to finance anyways. It's not like you need a motion from the board.
Very good.
So the policy would be that you would then figure out how to do a search, whatever you want to do.
Yep.
And that's why my motion was just very specific and
Very good.
cut.
Very good.
Because I know there's a policy for finance to be able to move into the next phase without a board approval. That's what your job is.
Yep. Very good.
So,
yep. So don't be surprised though if you see a special meeting notice
no, I get
come
it.
out tomorrow for next Monday. But anyone else? Okay. Excuse me? Oh, I'm just under the new. I got you. Or Thursday. Okay. Well, hearing nothing further, all in favor of accepting, or rather appointing, Justin Stott to this interim manager position effective April 19, say aye.
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 Opposed? It passes, and we thank you, Justin. All right, item 20 now, second public comment. For anyone here this evening who'd like to address the board on any topic, whether just covered or whether something completely unrelated to that, you're welcome to do so.
Hi, Pete Plowman, Georgetown, Precinct 13. Just a cautionary note on the bid process. You moved it to 20,000, and I know a couple months back we did a bid for Fusion IT for $150,000 worth of hardware for computer hardware, single source on that. I don't know if we have a sole source contract with them. We also did $127,000 for the new BPW building for furniture, sole source contract on that. If there are stipulations or considerations that you use to determine that those single bids only can go to one people, I would hope you'd communicate that to the public, because that was well over the 10,000, and I only saw one bid per each of those. Specifically on Fusion IT, I don't know if we did our due diligence and just called Dell to find out what the list price was, or whether you could buy them direct or not, which I know is the case, but just to make sure that we maximize our taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
All right, anyone else?
Sean Half of Winifred Street. It just completed a couple weeks ago the board review for the year, at least the hard work. And there is one person in particular I'd kind of like to speak up for, because I was not able to do anything about it, but I believe you, ladies and gentlemen, will be able to do it. There was a person in our community that applied for a poverty hardship. Their income was literally nothing more than pretty darn small amount of disability, Social Security disability, and a couple $100 a month for food stamps. And there's a strict formula we had to follow, and they were $75 over the formula to qualify for the poverty exception. My understanding is you can't go below the federal guidelines, but as a township here, you would have the ability to maybe expand that a little bit. This is certainly somebody that I think by just about any other measure would be objectively poor and in poverty. It's not a lot of money. I don't see how they could possibly pay their property taxes anyways. Something to consider down the line. I brought this up at the utilities meeting last time, so John and Gary might hear a little bit of the same thing, but the rest of you weren't there. But I mean, it's great that we have low taxes and that some things that might be going up in the future are only going to be going up fairly small amounts, and they're still lower than a lot of their places pay. But, just sitting on the board of review just kind of proved to me a bunch of what I'd already believed anyways, is that there's a lot of people that are struggling, and we're getting to the point where it's getting to death by 1,000 cuts. Yes, this fee may only go up a little bit, but it just keeps compounding and compounding and compounding, and I believe we're reaching a point where there's going to be some really detrimental consequences to that. There's this one lady that came in, she's said she couldn't afford to pay her property taxes. Well, I wish I could have done something about it, but that wasn't a ground for me to vote to, lower her property tax. I don't have that ability. However, and we explained to her, well, it's only going up 3% because it's the cost of inflation. Well, she's been in that home for like 35 years. You keep adding 3%, every single year. That's a lot of money after 30-something years for property taxes. And just across the board, I mean, unless you're an egg farmer these days, I don't know too many people that are probably making a lot of money to keep up with how much the costs are going up. I went to Subway. I'm not paying $12 for a 6-inch sub and a 20-ounce soda pop anymore. That's ridiculous. It wasn't that long ago we had $5 foot downs. Now it's $8 for a 6-inch, and it's just across the board. Everything's going up. So I think you guys are doing a good job trying to keep costs down, but just kind of keep that in mind. Even if it's just going up a little bit, everything just wants to keep going up a little bit, and it's really going to start hammering a lot of people if it already hasn't. So obviously I understand everything's going up, but I would just encourage you to try to do your best to keep the cost on everything as low as possible across the board. Even those little increases are just continually adding up. So thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for serving on the board of review. Appreciate it. Anyone else?
Joseph Parnell McCarter, 6408 Renwood, Georgetown Township, volunteer leader of the Save the Campbell effort. I thank this board again for having passed the Campbell resolution, because you and other township board did, and it encouraged the Ottawa County Board to do the same. But just a few hours after the county passed its resolution, Consumers Energy VP Mattapati said that it will close the Campbell anyway this coming May, and Whitmer-appointed MPSC officials quickly said the same. Fossil fuel plants, and especially coal plants, are slated for rapid closure. They are in the Upper Peninsula already seeking gas plant closures too, while they override local zoning to convert thousands of acres of Michigan farmland to solar panel fields, which do not provide us with reliable baseload electric, such as the last 48 hours would demonstrate. In contrast, President Trump's energy emergency executive order recognizes the need for fossil fuels in electric generation, including coal. They provide the reliability and affordability necessary for our electric baseload. They are important to power the AI data center technological revolution for our national security and industrial development. And if CO2 levels are the concern, there is now commercially available carbon capture. We could even, given the huge demand for the AI data centers, charge extra money to these data centers and then decrease the rates for consumers, which is badly needed. As I've indicated previously, Consumers Energy customers already pay 58% more for electric than Zeeland residents who have municipalized electric. Whitmer's energy agenda is simply not realistic and is very dangerous. Again, as you know, the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, along with grid operator MISO, states that our regional grid is at high risk of demand exceeding generating supply in the coming years. We're really looking for you, the political leaders, at this point to help inform us what you are willing to do. As far as some suggestions, number one, Ottawa County government and the Trump administration work together and legally intervene on behalf of the Campbell, consistent with President Trump's executive order. Number two, the Ottawa County Board, with the support of the Trump administration, passed a public safety ordinance prohibiting the closure of the Campbell in 2025. The Michigan Constitution gives our county commissioners power to protect residents from a public utility that plans a project that will hurt the long-term welfare of its customers in service and pricing. At the same time, we request investigation into long-term possibilities for local and regional electric cooperatives to purchase consumers' energy interest in the Campbell plant with the assistance of the Trump administration. Ottawa County can expand its electric generation to help power Michigan in the AI revolution. Given time constraints, it is important that we go ahead and get your feedback as well as that of other townships. We've gotten positive feedback from Polkton Township and Jamestown Township boards, as well as actually some of you as well. So I do believe that this is probably the ideal time to begin to look for local control of electric. That's my personal opinion. If we had local control of electric, like 3 cities in Ottawa County currently have, I don't personally believe this plant would be shutting. I don't think that our Ottawa County would think that this is a wise time to be closing the plant. But because it's under MPSC and Consumers Energy, yeah, they have this program. Thank you.
And Joe, feel free to email the board as you've done before with practical suggestions to the extent you didn't get through everything maybe you wished, or if you want to give us specifics in writing, we'd welcome it.
Sure.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we'll close the second public comment period. Item 21, discussion and general information. Okay, I see you just shrugging back. I think you've mentioned something about accommodation for those who helped with the New Wool fire. Anything to say, or any
With the what?
New Wool fire? Any comments? Or
Oh,
thoughts
yeah,
about that?
I just thought it was interesting that, you know, we had a lot of businesses that helped out. They had the fire at the New Wool, and we had a lot of businesses that brought coffee and donuts and food and took care of the firemen while they were taking care of that fire at the New Wool. And I just thought that was kind of neat. The community stepped up. It was early in the morning. They had no problem making it happen. So I don't know all the businesses that were involved, but it was a community that came together and helped their firemen at that time. So.
It might have been Maggie B's, Subway.
Yep, Subway.
Mr. Burger, maybe.
Did they? Okay.
I think.
I just seen some different names on the Facebook
Sprinkles
page.
Donuts.
Oh yeah, Sprinkles brought some donuts,
Yes,
I think, yeah.
there was quite a number.
So that was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Nice to see the community helping out.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly don't wish for disastrous things to happen so we can all get together. But the fact that they did was a nice gesture.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Jim, Amy and Kelly and Gene and myself last Friday attended a water quality expo at the Pinnacle that Joe Bush put on. It was incredibly well done. About 350 people. It was sponsored, where the costs were taken care of by groups that dealt in water quality, and they wanted a chance to share with us what they had available. Many speakers. It was very, very well done.
And John inquired about the Campbell plant.
Yeah, I asked, they talked about this blue gem that they've got down there and by the end of Pigeon Lake, and I didn't realize how beautiful that water is there because they pull it out of Lake Michigan, then they bring it into the plant, and terrific fishing. It's beautiful there. But when they shut that down, then you're just going to have the stream itself. It's dramatically going to change things there.
It reverses. The flow will reverse.
Yeah, but the supervisor was up on stage, and I asked what his opinion was, and it just seemed to me, with the emphasis of the Trump administration, I would think that they wouldn't close it. I don't know how close they are, but he is heavily promoting energy. So I asked him, and he said he didn't have any complaints from his constituents concerning the closing of I think he said any, which was kind of surprising, but he was very articulate. And then a representative of Consumers Power grabbed me after that, and we had a very nice talk. But it was I had to leave early, but it was very interesting, and Joe Bush really did a wonderful, wonderful job in putting that together. And I think the biggest thing of the whole event was the fact we could network. And so you got to meet people that you may have heard about them, but you never had a chance to shake their hand. So it was great. Free. We got fed. Awesome.
Thanks for attending.
Thanks.
And for your report. Anyone else? No? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we are adjourned.